All right, chicos. Today I'm about to get into the SAT passage the SAT test that I started yesterday, the reading test of the 2019 May US. Today I feel a little more energetic than yesterday. Maybe it's partly because I'm starting later in the day, and it's like these days I'm sort of a night owl. But hopefully, I don't shoot myself in the foot by saying that I'm energetic and making a bunch of stupid mistakes. Let's do a quick recap though. Um, I got a 10 out of 10 in 10 minutes and 15 seconds on the first passage with high confidence. Okay. I don't think I even went back and double checked any of the answers. I got an 11 out of 11. I got an 11 out of 11 on. Whoa, wait, 1955 for real? Dude, that's crazy. All right. Right, because that second passage I thought was kind of easy. I got 11 out of 11 in less than 10 minutes on the second passage. Okay, that was yesterday. That was yesterday, unless I'm misremembering, because my days are a little crazy and hectic right now. But I think that was yesterday. So today, I'll be getting into what I assume will be much harder passages. Usually, when the first two passages go that quickly, usually what happens is the third and fourth passages are much harder, and then the fifth passage is cruelly not very hard. That doesn't always. I mean, statistically, I'm not sure if that actually happens because I'm not diligent enough to go and like calculate the probabilities of it. At least not at the moment. But yeah. But the key thing is now that I've spent 10 minutes only on two passages, I actually have 14 minutes for two more passages. I have 14 minutes each for two passages, as in a plus 2 minute buffer based around a default of 12. Okay. And yes, I do this calculation in real time during the test. I'm counting every passage as 12 minutes, even though it's actually 13 minutes if you want the 65 minutes, but I count all of them as 12 minutes so that I can give myself 5 minutes to come back to anything that I need. Okay. So that's at least my default way of approaching it. I guess there could be an alternative way of approaching it, which is 13 minutes baseline. Every passage is 13 minutes, and then don't make yourself come back to any of them at the end of the test. Like just as soon as you're done with that passage, make that your final answer all the time. And now that I think about it, that might actually be a wiser way of going forward. That might be, but I'm not going to change my strategy in the middle of a test package. So I'm going to stick with my 12-minute baseline. I don't know about you guys, but I've actually never tried that particular way of doing it, of just taking it like being like, I will do the double checking within my 13 minutes. If I exceed my 13 minutes, I'm not going to go back and double check for this one passage. I've never done it that way, but what do you guys think? I feel like there could be some problems with that because of the fluid nature of some of these things. I don't know. Anyway, that's just basically the big difference would be just like doing the double checking before moving on to the next passage. And is that worth it? I think that might feel a little sketchy, honestly. It might. So I'm not sure. Anyway, I've already explained my default sort of strategy for this. So I'm about to get into the third passage right now. Let's get right into it. Okay. Oh, and I don't have my stopwatch on me for some reason. Okay, so my stopwatch is going to start back again from zero. So I have to sort of just remove 20 minutes from my zero, or add 20 minutes to my zero, actually. So I'll just be doing that mentally. All right. Here we go. Razzle dazzle. So we're gonna okay. We're talking about plumage and stripes and stuff. So what that means is conspicuous. So we're talking about razzling dazzling by colorful matching. Okay, hid themselves, and there was different mech. Okay, this are actually disguises. Um, so it's like it's not. It's the opposite of camouflage. Okay. By being like black and white and having a very like high contrast stuff, you can actually be camouflaging yourself. It's like the anti-camouflage. There. Okay, there. Get that name down. Ah, it was untested. Okay. Untested until 2005 using fake moths. Hang on. Cuthill and Stevens. Okay. ICMS. Okay. So it confirmed. This is later. It's a different experiment. Become less effective once their contrast exceeds. Okay, interesting. Okay, so they more or less redeemed what's his name. I'm gonna have to AHT. Okay. And just making sure my screen works. Okay, cool. Revived interest in disruptive camouflage. Only last year, the first real insights into how it works only came last year. Okay, so this is a new transition. We have Richard Webster. Okay, we have Richard Webster who's coming in to search for visual moths while an eye tracker. So that's a cool. We can get inside them. The more patches they had, the more they failed to notice. And you need to fixate for longer. Okay. Impairs to spot. Okay, cool. Now, this is surprising. We already have two examples, right? We already have two different studies, or three actually, but the experiment had a shortcoming. Okay, so they don't prey on moths. So we have to look at it's intended on is not humans. Okay, field trials. Okay, so we have to have field trials because we can't do the eye tracking with birds, right? Birds, nightjars, plovers. Okay, how will they? So this is like huh, this hard, interesting, kind of digressive almost. Um, Focusing on the people suddenly can learn to see the. Okay, which makes sense. That would be up against the short-lived ones. So I'm gonna do 20. I'm gonna put the 20 minutes in front, so that's 24:45. Probability. There's a typo here. Of virtual moth targets. The number of edge patches. The more patches, the higher, the more likely it is to survive. Search time, right, the number of edge patches, the longer it takes to go up. Yeah, which makes sense. So we're at 24:40. Whoa, what? 24:55. The main purpose of the passage is to. Let me. All right. Okay, the main purpose of the passage is to share research share the origins and further research on on this sort of anti-camouflage. Okay, this disruptive camouflage. Predators? No. Okay, yeah. Cool. Oh, dude, pause. Quick pause. Oh, yo. Sorry, I have to set my phone so that it doesn't just automatically turn off the screen. Okay, so just lost a second. Okay, so I was at, I mean, it says 5:40 right now, so yeah, 25:40. I'm just gonna accept the lost time there. I don't want to renegotiate this time. 3, 2, 1, let's go. The central claim about this is it works because it's not because of the outline, but because it contrasts. It imposes colors at different. Maybe. No, hell no. Obviously no. Oh, particular. Yeah, this is at the very last end. Okay, 610. I'm pretty confident in that one. You know, I'll come back to this in a second because maybe I was reading a little too sloppily. Chronological account of how scientists increased understanding of a particular. Yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly right. Chronological. Yeah. Which choice best? CNS and Thayer. Okay, so this is the CNS provided support for the theory. That's true. That's basically true. That happens at the very beginning. And that happens at this line over here, from 13 through, yeah, but 13 through 17. 13 through 18, 13 through 20, 13, 20, 12, 13, 22. So let's look at 18, just double checking what 18 does. Oh, I should change to blue. So 13 through 18 over here. Yeah. That's correct. Countless, 14. Countless textbooks. Just, you know, it became common, widespread acceptance of yes. Yes. Because it's not true. It's kind of surprising that so many people are retelling it. Uniform, 22, most nearly means. Oh, you know, same throughout, unvarying. There we go. Oh, I'm not writing down time for some reason. I'm sloppy right now. I'm just not been writing down time. Okay, so that only took me 2 minutes to get those 5 questions. Crazy. I'm going really fast. The author suggests that humans and non-human predators may differ in their ability to perceive, learn the patterns. But okay, sure. This one's the closest answer. I'm at 2840. I'm very confident in this. And this is at the bottom right over here. Let's see. And then this is a suspicion. So I think it's towards 66, up until 66. Okay. Let's just double check. Oh, this includes that part. Now 70, 72, what is 70, 72? Just want to double check. Okay, this is talking about non-humans, so no, that's not helpful for that. I am at 2916. I'm going to write that as 15. And then here we go. The data in figure 1. Best support. Which statement about the probability of survival? The more spots on the edges, it increases the number of edge. Yeah. It's just a straight line. I don't even have to look at it. No look. It's a no look answer. I'm going to move on. According to the data presented in figure 2, what was the mean search time? Search time in seconds to locate 5 edge patches. Okay. Trying to get 5 edge patches, so that's over here, that's 2. Oof, oof, 2, oh, dude, why is this so hard to navigate? Okay, see, 5 edge patches, 2 seconds. Oh my god, that was largely a waste of time and I'm gonna stop right there, because I don't think it's really worth. No, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and double check. Okay, I'm gonna double check that one question that I had some low confidence on, which was over here. Disruptive, because we're talking about the central claim about disruptive camouflage is that it is a viable defense against particular predators versus it is most useful when it colors that differ. So almost certainly viable, because that comes from basically the end. But that's also, it would suggest that also doesn't sound like the central claim. Okay, so let me just double check. What are central markings? Okay. I see. Central markings is what, okay, yeah. For the edges. We don't really talk about colors, man. It has to be. Okay, so that's 31, 35. And 31, 35. So I'm going to stick with C. $31. 35. And this has to be changed to 30. 30.15. And this is 29.40. Okay, that took me 11 and a half minutes, including bits of awkward, transitions to like the technical difficulty of navigating this thing, as well as just like stopwatch and awkwardness. So that's pretty fast, and I'm gonna pull up the answers on my desktop so I can see what happened with my thing. Let me. I should have pulled up the answers beforehand, so I apologize, but you're gonna have to wait for a sec. All right, let's go. How many questions is this? This is 12 questions, 11 questions, I mean. I chose in 22, 23 CC. Let's look. CC is correct. So, and that was the one I was struggling on. AAB are correct. BCAC. What number was this? 27? 27. BCAD. BCAD. That sounds a little crazy to me. Okay. I feel like I was super confident that it's not D but C, so that's very strange. And then we're looking at 31, 32 are D, A, DA. Okay, so I was so confident on this, I had no idea. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. I for some reason, I read this as only talking about humans, but it was talking about non-humans. Okay. humans and non-humans made different. I was focusing only on humans for some reason, and 7072 is of course where it talks about both of them. Stupid mistake. Stupid mistake. Oh my goodness. So what's the lesson from this mistake? It's my first mistake of these, 30 questions? The lesson is what I always tell kids. Okay, I should have followed my own advice here because it would have helped me. A lot of times kids kind of jump the gun. They don't fully read the question stem and make predictions like, oh, in the passage, the author suggests that humans and non-human predators may differ in their ability to, and then phrase it in their own words. When you are forced to predict in your own words, what that does is it kind of builds all the synaptic connections between the words that are on the page, right? Humans and non-human predators may differ, right? So it forces me to sit on that question and to think about it, okay? To think about it and then be like, here's my prediction. Here's what I'm gonna say. And then when I say it, now that result, the sort of the effect of having to say it, right, is that now I have a synthesized, completely coherent sentence that I can work with in my head. And with 29, what I did is I just read it too fast. I didn't make a prediction. I just went straight to perceive visual patterns because I made this sort of gut feeling guess about it. And I failed to read the whole question. I did. So that's me. Now, that's my one error. And actually, I'm getting a phone call. I have to be right back, so I'll be right back in a second. Okay, guys? It'll be 5 minutes max. Okay. Oh, I'm back and I'm seeing some good news. Give me a second. I'm about to. All right, that's my camera. I don't know if that's good news. Senior year. All right. Well, Nastasia. Oh wait. Oh, Nastasia is just saying okay, and Kartik, 1490. 4.35 set for life. Yes, you're set for life. Congratulations. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I'm there with you. So I forgot what I was doing. So I had to take a quick delivery, so I had to pop out real quick. But I just finished the third passage, and I'm actually rushing. I'm like going way too fast. I'm messing things up. So that one lesson. So this was, hang on, I should write it out. I got 10 out of 11. So far I got 31 out of 32 questions so far. Okay, in 31 minutes, which is I have a surplus of almost 5 minutes. I have a 4.5 minute surplus right now because I'm going so fast. This test, at least for the first 3 passages so far, this test has not been hard at all. I mean, this stupid mistake over here in number 30, that's just because I was rushing. But this test has not been hard at all. So this doesn't mean I should chill out. This, if anything, which means I should get a little, I should at least, you don't want to get too nervous, okay? Because when you get nervous, then you start making bad psychological, you get into a bad psychological state and you start making really dumb mistakes, okay? You don't want to get nervous, but I have to veer towards the side of being nervous. And in Korean, we call that 긴장, which is like I don't want to say tense, but because if you say tense, it just sounds like you're tense. But like you have to keep vigilant. Okay, I don't know. I can't think of a better word right now. But you have to be vigilant. You have to be cautious and vigilant. You have to be aware, alert. I'm just like throwing out as many synonyms as possible. So the reason is that these 3 passages might have been easy, but maybe the next 2 passages are deadly difficult. So we don't know that yet. And this is actually my first time seeing this, so we'll see what happens in the next one. Okay, so I'm about to restart my time here and go into, but since we do have some viewers today, I don't know if you guys have taken the May 2019 SAT before. If you have, and if you know what passage we're talking about right now, you can ask some questions. Just because I didn't actually announce this earlier, I will be doing a Q&A for every single passage, but then during the passage, I will not be doing Q&A because I'll be taking it timed. Okay, so I have to be like 100% focused. So if there's no questions, then I'll move on to passage 4. Okay, and I'm about to restart time in 3. Oh, and by the way, I should say this up front. By the way, as you read along with me, you might notice some things. You might notice some things that I do that are very different from the way that you take the test. Okay, so you might be curious about what I'm doing. If that's the case, you can just write whatever you have, whatever's in your mind, into the chat, and then after I'm finished answering all the questions, I'll come back and answer those questions. So you can just throw out whatever the heck's in your mind onto the chat. Okay. So even if you haven't ever taken this particular test, you could still ask me questions. Now, if you have taken this particular test, even better. If I go to like question 39 and I get the right answer right away, but you struggled on it, then I can explain that particular question and how I got to that right answer. If you ask a question about it. All right, let's proceed. 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, we're on the history passage. Switching over to black to visually represent my first reading. I have Eleanor Roosevelt on the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So this is in 1948 after the World War. We have Posner in 2014. The case against human rights. Wow, that's provocative. that's provocative. So I'm very curious, actually. Here we go. I'm at 32 minutes right now. 3205, and I'm continuing. In giving our approval to the declaration today, okay, we're approving the declaration at the moment. The character of the document, it's not a treaty, it's not an agreement, it's not a statement of law or a legal obligation, it's just principles. It's like a manifesto to be approved by a formal vote at the General Assembly of the UN. This is the UN, right? I think it is. Oh, yes, it is the UN General Assembly. And to serve as a common standard of achievement for all people. Now, we stand today. This is a great event. It's very important. At a time when there's so many issues, when we disagree, okay, when we find it difficult to agree, it's really meaningful that we so much agree on this. So many of us agree on this. Where are we? To lift men everywhere to a better standard of life, greater enjoyment of freedom. Okay, standards and freedom. We'll see, and peace maybe. But that's more of an explanation of where this comes from, especially in the context of the Nazis and fascists. Okay, we're transitioning. We're transitioning to someone else's speech. Gladstone Murray, GM. Okay, he said, a moral being. Okay, so the light we have is imperfect. We're just trying to share the moral freedom that makes us people. Okay, we're trying to improve. We're imperfect, but we're improving. We're trying to be free. We're no one's just a servant. Okay, an end in himself. No one's a servant. Freedom is the truly distinguishing mark of a person, not technology. Technology is not. Okay? Civilization is not measured by technology. This declaration is based on the spiritual, moral or spiritual. We must have freedom. Okay? This is back to Eleanor Roosevelt. She's quoting this other guy. We have much to do to fully achieve, but having them will be a great step. So she's basically just saying, hey, this is a very important moment in history for this is a very important moment in history because we all agree that we all deserve freedom. Now we're moving on to passage 2. Here we go. Many people argue that the incorporation of the idea of human rights is a great achievement. Okay, but regardless of nationality, it deprives governments of their riposte. It deprives government of their argument of their defense when they're criticized for abusing their citizens. Okay. International human rights law. Ooh, this is interesting. That's a difference. Provides people with protections against the power of the state, and yet, okay, it is hard to avoid the conclusion that we continue to violate human rights. Why do we have torture? Why do we have authoritarian countries? Why do women remain subordinate? Okay, why do children work? The truth is that human rights law has failed to accomplish its objectives, and at this point I might as well just 36 minutes right now, okay? I just want to write it here. The truth is that human rights law has failed to accomplish its objectives. The treaties have not improved the well-being of the people. Not universal. Oh, whoa, that's important. The reason is they were not universal. And you can't force them on other countries. They're not universal. It's not modern, it's a modern idea. It emerged whoa. It's a very modern idea. The weaknesses that will go on to undermine human rights law were there from the start. The weaknesses were there from the start. It's not a treaty. No one at the time believed it created. It was not ratified by nations, but approved by General Assembly. It was just vague and aspirational, interpreted in multiple ways. So of course everyone agrees when it's not like a. I'm probably over-explaining because I have to be cognizant of my time, but of course it's not a. It's easy to get 50 whatever nations to agree if there's no legal binding power on it. Which choice from passage one best supports the idea that I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to pause I just want to explain why I'm talking. By the way, yeah, I'll get to your comments after this passage, but. Which choice from passage one best supports the idea that in Roosevelt's field? You notice how long this question is? For these, some kids think it's kind of a waste of time to read it all. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Give yourself, breathe, and read it. And then predict what the answer is. And if you have to break it into many little parts, right? Because it's a long sentence, right? And break it into little parts, then yeah, paraphrase it to yourself in multiple sentences. But breathe and fully understand that question, because if you go into ABCD without fully understanding the question, you're going to waste time. You're going to chase leads that were not the right topic in the first place. So I'm going to demonstrate what that is right now. Okay, I'm going to continue time. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, which choice from passage one best supports the idea? Okay, so we need support. Roosevelt believes that the cooperation marks a major accomplishment. The cooperation marks a major accomplishment of various nations. The cooperation of various nations makes an accomplishment. So she's going to say something about it's a great accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment. That's 11. So that's 11. Okay, we don't have 11 right now. Let's look at 14 and 18 because, okay, it's a large significant fact. Okay, that one is almost certainly the right answer, but there is one other time when she kind of talks about how important this is. A great step forward, that's 46. Ooh, 43, 45. Oh, that's really close. Let's see. 43. Oh, no, 43, 45 is off topic, so that is definitely not D. Okay, that's 18, 30. That's 38, 30. Okay, here we go. That was 1 minute. Testimony, most nearly me, is 19. It must be taken as testimony, as proof of our common aspiration, as evidence of our, as a public affirmation. Oof, my Apple Pencil, please. Public affirmation is correct. I'm moving on. That is 39 minutes. Was that 30 seconds? Yeah, it was 30 seconds. Let's go. Roosevelt uses the quotation from Glastonbury. GM, right? I wrote primarily to talk about freedom, basically, because at the top over here, so I'm not even looking at the bottom, okay? I'm looking at the top. I'm looking at the top of the right column. I'm looking at the top of the second column because this is primarily in order to talk about the freedom to develop the full stature of common food. So this is her point, okay? And I'm looking for that because I'm saying she's using it primarily to make this point about freedom and how much we need it. Woman, no. Fear of technical, no. Freedom, yes. In the service of the state, no. Freedom require potential, yes. Okay, how much was that? 19, that is 39, 50, 45 actually, but whatever, 45. So that was only 45 seconds. Here we go. Passage 2, posters use of the phrase, none of your business. Primary source. I actually don't remember this, but that's very sassy. But probably as primary source to talk about, criticize how the West, okay. Okay, I see. Namely sovereignty. Okay, so when right. So the authoritarian governments talk about sovereignty, which basically is law speak for none your business. And so primarily serves to use the phrase serves to create a sense of like how they rebuff how much they dislike. Okay, it's not thoughtful, it's not suspicious, it's wry, a disapproving view of how a No. No. Hang on. Use of the phrase, none of your business, serves to. That phrase, none of your business, serves to. So first of all, forget the words creator. I would normally say primarily serves to interpret the idea of sovereignty in more casual terms. Okay, that's what I would say. So, but then we're asking about the tone of those words, and we're not talking about how the term has changed. We're not talking. Oh, is this the term of sovereignty? A disapproving view of how a term. You know what it is? We need to find out what term we're talking about. The term of sovereignty has been used. I mean, the right part of it sounds right. I'm gonna go with this because I think it's referring to. I have this gut feeling that this is actually a poorly written sentence. That's my gut feeling, but sometimes I'm wrong. So I'm gonna move on. 41:55 because I don't want to waste too much time on just this one. That took me 2 minutes already. Okay, passage 2. When did the idea of human rights, as we now understand them, first began to develop? Not. It's around here. I actually almost remember this, but I don't fully. It's at the bottom over here. During the 18th. All right, there we go. And just to get the line reference, that is 78, because it might come out in the next. No, it doesn't come out in the next one. So we're at 42:30 right now, 42:30 and 30. And we're moving on to most strongly suggests that a significant flaw is that it doesn't have legal power. No legal power, no legal binding. So, lack clear and precise. That's about right, but I'm just going to double check. Not ratified, did not give the power, vague, interpreted in multiple ways, right? It's not a treaty, so it's lacking clear and precise applications. Vague, yeah, that works. Yeah. That's 43:10. I'm 43:10, so right now I am at 40 seconds for that one question. Let's go. Best evidence is, I didn't even get the line reference. It's so annoying when I have to do this on PDF. From 87, specifically from 89 to 94. 89 to 94, I'm choosing, if I have to choose 92, 94 though. I have to choose the final sentence because I'm looking specifically, yeah. Because if I look at the one right before, that's just telling me the facts. It doesn't actually tell me exactly his position. Okay, so that's 92, 94. I feel a little iffy for some reason about it, but I'm going to keep going. 44 minutes right now. Let's go. How much time was that? That was 50 seconds for that. All right. 2 minutes on that one question is stressing me out, man. I spent 2 minutes on that one question. That's annoying. Both passages clarify the nature of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by talking about whether it has the power to do anything. Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what I predicted. 44 to 30. That was a 30-second question. I don't have to double check any of this, I think. Okay. In the discussion of human rights, actually, I want to double check. You know what? I lost confidence. You can tell that I lost confidence. It's crazy because I know I don't have to double check, but I'm double checking just because. I'm being paranoid. I'm going to move on. But since I lost that time, I might as well clarify that this is just me losing my time. I added 25 seconds that I didn't need to. Okay. In their discussion of human rights, both passages reflect an underlying concern with the authoritarian. They're reflecting on both passages reflect an underlying concern with the. This is a little broad, but what are some similarities? They both accept that it's not a legal thing, that it was a significant event in history, not about the fallibility. Officials? No. No. I feel like we don't talk about this in. We do. Oh no, we only talk the other direction. It has to be C. Okay. So, right, we're talking about the effect that it has on people, the human rights, right? Oppressive social and political situations, right? The evidence for that in the first passage, I'm looking for it right now because I can't think of it immediately. Yeah, social and political. Something feels a little iffy there, but I'm gonna move on. On the real test, I would definitely not have spent that extra time. So, anyway, I'm just gonna move on to make it more realistic. Here we go. Which paragraph of passage 2 presents a view of human rights law that is most consistent with Roosevelt's view of human rights? First paragraph. First paragraph. Deprives. Yeah. That's the one that agrees with everything. For some reason, I feel so iffy on this. Huh. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with my gut feeling first and then um, pause real quick. Whew. I feel iffy. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to decide for myself, okay? If this was the real test, I actually saved so much time on the first three passages. Okay? That actually I've already spent, what would you call it? I've already spent about 15 minutes on this one passage, okay? 15 minutes on this one passage. But because I was so fast on the first three passages, on the real test, I'd be like, oh, I actually have the time to go back and double check these questions. I do, right? Because I literally have 19 minutes left, which means I could spend 15 more minutes on the next passage and still have 4 minutes remaining, okay? So, and I think 15 is actually quite a lot. I think it's quite a lot. So what I would do on the real test is I wouldn't double check all the answers just yet. I wouldn't. Okay. I would, on the real test, I would move on to passage number 5 and make sure I can at least finish it and then get like an initial, gut check of how long it takes. Right. Because if that fifth passage only takes 12 minutes, like a normal passage, then now I have a huge wealth of time. It changes the way I would approach passage 4. But because I want to be able to do the Q&A right away for the stream, which is not the real test, okay? What I'm going to do is instead I'm going to pre-budget. I'm going to give myself right now a 3-minute budget to double check the questions, okay? Which is not as realistic because normally what I would do is I take the fifth passage first and then use the remainder of that budget just on this passage only. But I'm gonna cap myself at 3 minutes right now. So it's 46.50. So maybe 49.50, but then just round up to 50. So I would budget 3 additional minutes at this time to go and resolve some of the discomfort that I have. And I'm going to do that in real time because I don't know the answers. This is my first time seeing the passage. Okay, so I'm about to start it. Okay, on my stopwatch. So basically, this stopwatch is starting at passage 3. So basically, I have to take 30. I have to add 20 minutes to it. So this is not 26 minutes, but 46 minutes and 57 seconds. If this hits 3 more minutes, I will stop. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I have to have a strategy for the ones that I feel uncomfortable with. And I was stupid. I didn't even circle the ones I'm uncomfortable with. So let's just go through them one by one. Cooperation, development, marks of major accomplishment. We went through that pretty thoroughly. Testimony, cool. Public affirmation, I think we're good. Because that was like, uses the quotation primarily to right. We were pretty solid on that. I was high confidence. This was the one I was low confidence. None of your business. Posner's use of the phrase "none of your business" primarily serves to create a wry tone that conveys a disapproving view of the term sovereignty. The weird thing is that's kind of incorrect. He's not disapproving necessarily. So it's strange. It's strange, and I think that's just a wrong thing, but all the other ones are wrong. I think the College Board actually made a mistake on this one, so I'm going to move on. Okay, I'm at 4755. Okay, I came back to this at 4755. When did the idea of human rights? Okay, we got that. That was pretty strong. Yes, I think that was high confidence on that question. So now we're looking at this one. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer that they are vague? And I was going with the last sentence, that they are vague, aspirational, interpreted in multiple ways. And that definitely connects to vague, aspirational, vague, interpreted in multiple ways. That's definitely correct. So that is 48:35. Now I have a minute and 25 seconds. Now I'm looking over here. Both passages clarify the nature of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by, right, they do distinguish it from legally binding. That's just clearly, I'm not going to doubt it. That's exactly what they do. They both say they don't have legal power. In their discussion of human rights, both passages reflect an underlying concern with the welfare of people living under oppressive social circumstances. Okay? Oppressive social circumstances. I mean, that was obvious in the first passage, so let's just talk about, we're talking about welfare. Where's the welfare? Okay? Higher standard. Freedom. Versus yes, that's true. So now we are at 49:25. Okay? Final question. Which paragraph, passage 2, presents a view of rights law, okay, looking up to the 4 paragraphs, that is consistent with Roosevelt's view? I have 20 seconds remaining. Okay? And it has to be the second one. So this is and yet. The truth is it's failed. And then we have the final one. The weaknesses were there. It was not new. It was not ratified. Vague, could be interpreted in multiple ways. So yeah, great moral achievement. It has to be passage 1. That's an easier question. I just freaked out about it for no particular reason. Stop. And that is perfectly, and I'm going to type it, I'm going to write it out actually first. Okay? I'm perfectly at 50 minutes. 50 minutes including the first 20 minutes for the first 2 passages, which I did yesterday. So I think did I change any answers? No, I didn't. But what I did do is I increased my confidence. So this is 10 questions, I think. Yeah, it's 10 questions. I increased my confidence. So this would set me up. If on the real test, if I went literally in this order, now that I have more confidence, I can go into the 5th passage feeling less pressured. I can be more relaxed. Okay, because it's just psychologically, unless you have like a mind made of steel, it's hard not to get psyched out. You know, these things do affect you, and it creates more errors later on when you are dropping in confidence. So that's what I did. Now let's go and double check the answers. So I'm looking at 33 to 35, which I chose BAD, and BAD are correct. Cool. And then 36 through 38, I chose DBC. That's correct. Let's go. All right, last 4. DBCA, and we got DBCA correct. 10 out of 10. All right, so those are my answers. Whew, that put me on the edge of my seat, and right now it's at 50 minutes. So that's a shockingly long amount of time for me, right? 18 minutes and 30 seconds just for that one passage. Okay, guys, if you are not timing how long passages are taking for you, you are not doing your preparation right. You are not. Because did you notice I spent almost 2 times as much time on the 4th passage as I did on the 2nd passage? Huge variance. Okay? I almost did the 2nd passage in only 9 minutes. This one took a little over 18 minutes. Almost 2 times longer. Guys, measure how long it's taking you. Okay. Become more aware of your process. Now, that's my little spiel. If I can just before I hit up the comments that are in the chat, I just want to, at least while I have the passage fresh in my brain, I just want to explain what the key transitions of this passage are. Okay, the key to understanding these passages, when you're reading them, is first you have to notice that it's interesting that over here at Gladstone Murray, it's interesting that she's using another person's speech as a source of authority for her speech. Okay, so she's quoting someone else to make her point. Okay, this is something you guys all learn in high school, right? That you should be quoting other people for your own points, right? But it's not very common to see it in the SAT. So you should have just noticed it. It's like, whoa, she's doing that to bolster her point. Okay, so that definitely is a transition you should have noticed. And I guess this is something I didn't quite grasp, but remember how I got standard and freedom? I probably should have wrote standard and freedom and then Nazi and fascist. It might have helped me if I actually wrote that part out, like SFNF, okay? Because if I forced myself to write SFNF on the left side in the margins, what might have happened is my brain would have been like, okay, this declaration is for the welfare, okay? When we say welfare, I mean standard of life, like living well, and freedom, which we didn't have under the Nazis and fascists, right? So that's kind of like, this is the why, the motivation for the document. And that is an important part of the passage. This is about how important the document is. This is about the motivation, the reasons for it. And then this is about a separate intellectual argument, quoting Gladstone Murray, talking about the abstract reason why this must be the case. We must all have freedom. Okay, so those are you basically should have divided the three passages, divided the first passage into three parts. Okay, how important this is, what motivates this, and what's really driving it all. It's freedom. Okay, so that's first passage. Second passage, I would just add a couple things, right? So the first paragraph, you should definitely notice that he's not going to agree with this. You know that he's not going to agree with this because Eric Posner over here says the case against human rights. If you did not know that, okay, as you were reading it, if you did not catch that, you are not reading right. You are wasting time. You are wasting time because you're not making the connection that you should be making. That connection is super important because if you don't know that he doesn't agree with this, there's a strong chance that when you move from here to here, you're going to completely miss the point. You're going to interpret it the wrong way. Okay, so that's a danger that I'm not willing to risk. Okay, you should know that when he's saying all the many people argue that it's a great thing and it does this and this. Okay, even if you don't fully understand every single detail here, you should know that he doesn't agree with this. Okay, because of this word against. You should definitely know that. Okay, so this many people argue means he's not on this side. And you should be anticipating the and yet. You shouldn't be surprised by the and yet. You should have already known that the word yet was going to come out, or but, or whatever. And then he's going to say fail. Huge. Okay? Why we have failed. Okay? So these two paragraphs go kind of together for me. I think it's pretty clear to just break those two, kind of clump those two paragraphs together as just saying, as a declaration of our failure. So what people believe about the human rights, our abject failure. Okay? And then this paragraph is about how it's just a recent thing and the weaknesses were right there from the start. This one is actually pretty well organized in the paragraph, so every single paragraph says like a new thing. That's not always true for all passages, but this particular passage, every single paragraph kind of says like a new thing. So the only one I would really clump is the second and third paragraphs. I guess you could clump the fourth and fifth paragraphs. I guess you could clump these two, but anyway, the big idea is, you should be able to kind of map their arguments out. So that would be my tip on reading my tips on reading these particular passages, okay? You should know in passage 2 that he's against it, and you should be curious, how can you be against human rights? And then you say, oh, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then, but then the next question would be, oh, but then why doesn't it work? And then he has this moment where he talks about how it's just like this modern phenomenon, but then he gives the answer to why it doesn't work. And you should be like, oh, it doesn't work because this treaty is all BS. It doesn't do anything, right? And so you should be able to satisfy your curiosity by reading the question, by reading these paragraphs in that order. Okay, that's my tip for this particular passage. Those are my tips for reading these particular passages. That's why I could just read it once and basically get all the questions correct. Even though I lost confidence, I had to double check and everything, and I spent 18 minutes on it, but still, I could just get it reading it once, right? So that's how you can do it too. Now let me answer whatever questions that were there. Kartik is going to take the May SAT. So you can't ever really know whether the May has a hard curve or an easy curve. People say that the October has the hardest curve because that's the one that the most students take. Okay, but I find that to be, and I think there's probably a part. I think there's one thing that's true about that, which is that a lot of seniors will be taking it in October to kind of finish off for their final before their college applications, right? So people say that, and I think it's probably true. I didn't go back and look at all the numbers for October, but you never really know until the actual scale comes out. So I think, and plus I don't think it's, how about this? Maybe if I just tell you, hey, the May it's gonna have a really hard scale. I'm just gonna say that to you. Then what does that do to you, right? It makes you feel like, oh, you have to be on your game, that you have to not make stupid mistakes. If that helps you, then I'll just say it. Hey, Kartik, the May, the scoring scale, really hard, really strict. Okay, don't make a mistake. But I'm just saying it really. So you can't really know in advance, but I think that doesn't change the sort of mental psychological approach, which is, you should be on your A game, and you should learn the things that help you stay focused. You should know, like, hey, if I don't sleep this much, it actually makes a difference. Oh, if I skip breakfast, it makes a difference. You should know these things about yourself so that when you go into the test, you're on your A game. Okay. Second question, do I have a live schedule? Actually, I should make a live schedule, shouldn't I? The reason I don't, right? So the quick answer is I don't. The quick answer is I don't. But I do kind of know which tests I'm going to take this week and next week. So I have to look it up. But I guess I could write it out. I can write out, these are the tests that are upcoming. The QAS that I'm going to do after the 2019 May US, right? And I can at least lay that out. I am a little hesitant to actually put dates on them, to commit to dates, just because my schedule and my life situation is so in flux that I can't definitely keep to, if I write a schedule, there's a big chance that I won't be able to keep to every single part of it. So putting dates and times on it, I feel a little iffy about, but I can at least give a list of the upcoming 3 tests that I will be taking, and then you can kind of study along with me. Natasha, if that's going to be helpful for you, please let me know. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, or if you're specifically looking for times and dates. Okay, and anyone else who watches this in the future, if that if times and dates would be helpful for you in particular, please let me know. But I will basically. I'll write it in the description after this stream is over. I'll write out which tests I'll be taking next, so that you can prepare for it beforehand. And what would be the key to speed reading? Well, speed reading has a lot of meanings depending on who you're talking to. So I'm not sure. If you think that I am speed reading, but when people say speed reading, they usually mean Like, don't read every single sentence. Don't understand everything. Just sort of get the gist. That's what they usually mean. And so you can learn to get the gist really, really fast. I tend to think that's basically bullshit. I don't think speed reading, that advice is very good. So we can be much more specific about what we mean by speed reading, and I can give you a much more specific answer. But I think you might have noticed, I actually read almost every single sentence, and I think, what's the significance of this? And I connect it to my larger predicted model of how the passage is going to be. When I read, for example, I'll show it on the screen, okay? When I read passage 1 on the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and then I read passage 2, the case against, I'm just like, whoa, crazy. And then I have this idea of what he might say, right? And what I do is I actually read every single sentence to confirm whether my idea and what he's actually saying are similar or not. And every time they're not similar, I correct myself. It's like, oh, that's what he's saying. Oh, this is where he's focusing on the failures. Okay, that's interesting. But, does it have to fail all the time? I'm sort of having a conversation with him as I'm doing it. That's not normally what people call speed reading. Now, for you, though, maybe your definition of speed reading is Saul reads faster than me. How do you read so fast, right? Then that's not normally what people call speed reading, because I'm not doing what people normally call speed reading. But how do I read so fast? I think that's a complex question. And if you're asking that question, I think people tend to say, what are the common answers for how to read faster? What's the common answer? I'm kind of curious what some of you guys are hearing about how to read faster. In my experience, people say stuff like very boring things, right? Basically, they just say vocabulary. Everyone just says vocabulary. I think that's all they really say. They don't say anything else beyond that. But there's also a part that I think any smart student should know is also really important for reading faster. It's parsing grammar. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Like, for example, this sentence over here. Because human rights law gives rights to all people regardless of nationality, comma, it deprives governments. And then you have to know the word it definitely refers to human rights law. It definitely does. There's no other thing that it's referring to. It's like 99.9% human rights law. It's what's referring to. But that doesn't even take me a second. It doesn't even take me 0.1 seconds. I just know it immediately, right? Human rights law deprives governments of their traditional riposte. That's a vocabulary one. Okay, you might not know. From context, though, you might be able to figure it out. When foreigners criticize them for abusing their citizens. Here, I'm going to get back to the grammar pit. I'm going to focus on the grammar for now, but I'm going to come back to this part talking about something that's not grammar in just a second. When foreigners criticize them for abusing their citizens, namely sovereignty, parentheses, which is law speak. Complex sentence is a complex sentence. For me, it's not hard at all. It's very quick. I can process exactly what he's saying very quickly. That's parsing grammar. Do you understand how, so there's this thing called periodic sentence when you have the subordinate clause up front. Instead of saying, it deprives governments of their traditional cause because human rights laws, it actually says because human rights laws, right? When you put the because in front, are you able to process that very quickly? Then we have the pronouns, the it. Are you able to identify the antecedent very quickly? Okay, and then after when we have the subordinate clause over there, when foreigners criticize them, do you understand immediately that the word them is referring to the governments? And then these governments are probably authoritarian governments, right? Are you able to connect all that really, really fast? Because I am. It doesn't take me any time, right? That's not speed reading, though. That's actually just improving your grammar. That's just your grammar. You got to have better grammar. And then, namely sovereignty. And then do you know that namely sovereignty isn't a positive that is directly modifying the traditional riposte? Sovereignty is the riposte. I don't know if you knew that. That one's the hard part of this sentence. Okay? But sovereignty is the traditional defense, the traditional riposte. They have... So this really, it really helps if you have actual background on geopolitics. But like, if you criticize an authoritarian government, hey, country, you're abusing your people, blah, 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 then a lot of times these countries would be like, hey, foreigner, shut up. We are a sovereign nation. We will take care of ourselves, right? That's a very common exchange that you have in the world of politics and geopolitics, right? But even if you don't know that background information, you should know that, namely, sovereignty grammatically must be referring to traditional riposte. That's hard. It will make you lose time, but it doesn't make me lose time because my grammar is really solid, so I can read that really fast. So I don't know. So I'm giving you the true and boring answer, which is people will try to give you sexy answers. Like, hey, I'll tell you one sexy answer, right? I can't show it to you on my screen, really. I can kind of approximate it. But I know one sexy answer is people tell you stuff like, ignore the left and right margin. Just read down the center, right? So you don't even see the left side, right? You don't kind of skip those words over here and you skip these words. And you're only looking at down the middle, and that's how you're reading, okay? Try it. I guarantee you, though, you're not going to understand the passage very well. But try it. Try it. That's what they say in speed reading. In speed reading, you're supposed to ignore this stuff. You're going to just, you do all these little tricks to make yourself faster, right? Try it and see if it actually works for you. I am willing to bet it won't work for you, okay? People will tell you sexy answers like that. Maybe they're right. I don't think they are. I think the real answer is you got to get better at grammar. Very boring, but very true. You got to be able to parse these sentences. You have to be able to do judo with these sentences very quickly. I can take the same sentence and I can rebuild it in 12 different ways right away. So I can read the same sentence in 12 different configurations and it won't bother me at all, right? You need to be able to have the basic mechanics of reforming sentences that are saying basically the same words, but putting them in different forms so you can understand them. Okay, that's my long answer. Interact with the passage to understand it better. I think was that an answer to a question that I asked? Oh, that's a typical advice. Yeah, interact with the passage. What does that mean? Do you kiss it? Do you lick it? Do you annotate it? So it's very broad. But you might notice some things that I did. Some things that I do, and because I think I might actually have ADHD, and I feel like I probably should get a diagnosis so I can just say it. Hey, I have ADHD, and I still get a perfect score. You might notice that I have actually some little things that I do, little hacks that I use to keep myself focused. And what you might notice is that my annotations are chaotic. I don't really try to make a logical, beautiful annotation system. I just sort of circle and underline whatever sticks out at me. I don't even try to explain them next to it. I just label them when I think I don't want to forget it. So I like this S, F, N, T, G, M. This stuff, it's just what works for me as someone who I think might be ADHD. So it helps me stay focused. So those are some things that you can try as well. My little tip about annotation is please don't worry about if your annotation is so logically complex that you have to think about it before you circle something, then don't follow that advice. Don't do that. Your annotation should be fast, natural. Shouldn't spend any time on your annotations. It should just be this immediate thing that happens in 0.1 seconds every single time. Because if you're thinking about it before you're annotating, then you are slowing down your reading too much, and that's going to ruin everything. Okay, it's going to ruin all the questions because you're going too slow. Okay. So basically, your annotation system should not be brainy. Your annotation system should be very almost emotional, just like that word, Eleanor Roosevelt. I like it, right? I need it, and you just immediately choose it. That's what your annotation system should be like, in my opinion. So try it. Try changing it up. If you find that your annotation system is taking you too much time, try changing it up. Nastasia was asking about times and dates, and you know what I'll say? I do try to stream every day. So at least there's that. I'm going to try to stream every day from Monday to Friday in Eastern time in America, in the United States. So I have that, and I was trying to do 4 p.m., but today I'm doing later. I'm it's 9 p.m. right now. Whoa. Oh my God, I'm late. And I have to go to a meeting. Okay, guys, I am 7 minutes late. Guys, that's enough for me. I will finish the 5th passage tomorrow.